Okay. Question for all of you here today. Have you or someone you know navigated a cancer diagnosis and wished that you had had different kinds of support? You can put a yes in the comments down below if that is true for you. And I'm really glad you're here. Welcome to the Power of Presence, a weekly live video show created especially for women over 40 who maybe find yourselves giving your time, your energy to all the people around you. And maybe you really need to have some support, some tools and practices to start prioritizing yourself and saying yes to the life of your dreams. So, wherever you are and however you're doing today, I want you to know that all of you is welcome here. And today I am so excited to welcome Tonya Marie Baillargeon to the show. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tonya, and then I'll let her also tell you some more about herself, and we'll have a little chat. So, Tonya Marie Baillargeon is the CEO of Gingered Rose LLC. And Tonya has personally walked the path from cancer diagnosis in 2007 to survivor with dignity and grace. Using her 40-plus years of spiritual and holistic healing practices, she helps to guide people to harmonize mind, body, and spirit in the face of cancer diagnosis and treatment. Tonya's mission is to help 1 million people transform their cancer journey, going from surviving to thriving. She helps cancer survivors to adapt to the right mindset, to create your dynamic support team, and utilize the correct alternative wellness modalities in addition to your oncologist's treatment plan so you can conquer your fear, transform your mindset, and thrive. So, Tonya, it is a pleasure to have you here. Welcome, welcome.
An honor to be here, Robin. I appreciate it.
Yay. And, I gave a little intro of you, but I'd love to invite you just to share a little bit more about yourself and if there's anything you want to kind of share about your journey. Yeah.
Well, we're going to start off with a very unique fact that most people don't know. The average weight of a healthy uterus is 4 ounces. So when they took my uterus out, it was over 10 pounds. Right. Yeah. So if you want to look at the science, I probably shouldn't be here,
Mm.
but I use the power of mindset. And for me, that was every day I would change my underwear and then put on a fresh pair of Wonder Woman's panties, which is why it's power pantaloons,
Yes, I love that.
because Wonder Woman doesn't die. So
Mm.
that was me actively choosing to live every day. The
Wow.
second thing that I made sure to do was to make sure that my friends, family, and my medical team were all on board with the fact that I was going to not only survive cancer, but kick its butt. Nobody was giving me expiration dates.
Mm.
Nobody was mourning me while I was standing in front of them.
Yes. Wow.
And the third thing is using alternative wellness modalities in addition to what the oncologist recommended for me. Obviously, surgery, and then I had chemotherapy and radiation therapy, and my journey was almost a year, which is a long time. But I also used Reiki. There was rituals, there was grounding, there was aromatherapy, there were detoxifying baths, there was crystals and sound healing and chromotherapy and flower essences and
Mm.
just so many different things
Wow.
that I used in addition to what the oncologist was telling me to do.
That's amazing. It
Thank
sounds
you.
like a really well-rounded approach that you had for yourself.
Well, so totally it was winging it at the time, right? Like I knew that I needed to have what I felt was right for me and my healing process. And I fully believe that mind, body, and spirit all need to be healed at the same time. So
Mm.
I had to use that in my approach to healing. And when I had my conversation with my oncologist, I was like, these are the things that I would like to do. And he told me that I was not allowed to do any herbals, like no internal herbals. And I
Mm.
asked why, and he said because it can counteract the chemotherapy drug. And I was like, okay, I get that. And then I was like, well, I would like to do all these other things. He rolled his eyes at me and I was like, okay, like that was good enough for me because basically his standpoint was I don't care as long as you're not putting it in your mouth. So, you could smell all the little smells you want. If you want to walk on the grass, that's fine too. Like you want to listen to sounds, awesome. He really that wasn't his thing, but he was an extremely wonderful oncologist. And so he was aware of what I was doing, and I needed that for my healing. I wanted my medical team to be part of it. So we had to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you for really asking the questions, and advocating for yourself or for what you sounds like you intuitively felt was going to be right for you in your journey, and to really advocate for yourself with him, to like navigate, okay, well, tell me, doc, like what what's a big no and what are you just going to roll your eyes at, right?
Uh, advocacy is one of my soapboxes. I feel that it is vitally important for you to advocate for yourself and your healing journey. There were no cancer markers in my blood. My pap smear came back fine or inconclusive. They did ultrasounds, transvaginal ultrasounds. They did this crazy thing where they inflated my uterus with saline and imaged it, and all of that came back fine or inconclusive. In order for them to find 10 pounds of cancer in my system, they had to do a DNC, which,
I don't know
like,
what that is.
it just sounds crazy, right? And so, my each step, my gynecologist is like, okay, so this is where we're at. And this is the next step if you want to continue. Of course, I want to continue. I know there's something wrong with my body.
Mhm, mhm.
And she trusted that I knew something was wrong with my body. You don't
Yeah, yeah.
you don't bleed for 45 minutes in a bathtub and not have something like
Mm,
it looked like a scene out of Carrie. My
wow.
entire bath and I dumbly took a shower and then went to the hospital instead of just wandering in there in a garbage bag full of blood. They
Mm,
would have not made me sit in the
mm,
waiting room for 6 hours.
wow.
It
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
you know, and I was exhausted all the time. I knew there was something wrong with my body.
yeah.
And I respect medical professionals. They go through a lot of schooling, but it is a medical practice because they're still learning.
Right.
And I live in my body
Yeah,
24/7.
right.
So when I'm telling you there's something going on
Hmm.
and you're not listening to me, then I'm going to go find a different provider. And
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
people need to be active in their medical care.
Hmm.
I've seen too many people be passive and just listen to what the doctors say
Yeah,
and it not be the right decision.
yeah. I think women, what I've found and seen is women in
Oh,
particular. And I know for women of color, that's even a higher, uh,
worse. Yep.
yep, more significant experience. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Or somebody who lives in a larger body.
mhm.
The
Sure.
first thing that the
Right,
doctor wants to tell you is maybe lose some weight and that'll clear up your symptom.
right.
Maybe you do your job, that'll clear up my symptoms. Like
Mhm.
me
Yeah,
losing a little weight is not the answer to every one of these things.
right, right.
Not, and
Yeah.
it's very frustrating as somebody who lives in a larger body that that's the
Mhm.
go-to, and
Mhm.
I just don't tolerate it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a little bit strong-willed, and sometimes
That's
my
good.
doctors fire me, and sometimes I fire them.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah, it's a honing process, right?
you have to shop around until you find somebody that you trust.
Mhm. Yeah. So
It's
listen.
literally your life. It's
Yeah,
literally your life. So
yeah,
you have to trust them.
yeah. Yeah, so is that part of what you're, supporting clients with is, like, having
Advocacy.
them advocacy and also, like, maybe, providing them with different kinds of questions that they can be asking their providers and, things that they may not think of themselves or yeah, just tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes.
Mhm,
So, like, when you go through chemotherapy
mhm.
or a traumatic whatever injury or illness, right? There's a lot of blood work.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you're getting chemotherapy, you don't have good veins.
right. Yeah.
So lots of water
Mhm,
before you go get your blood draw. It'll make it less painful for you if you are completely hydrated. When
mhm,
your doctor asks you a question and you don't know why they're asking it,
mhm,
ask what it's for. When my doctor asked me if I wanted to have a power port put in, I didn't know what it was, so I said no. That
mm,
was not a good decision on my part.
uh-huh,
And that was an experience that I learned from.
mm,
What a power port is it's a medical device that they put in your under your skin that attaches to the vein so that they can tap the port instead of trying to tap your vein. When I went in for my round 2 of chemo, it took an ER nurse 45 minutes to tap a vein.
oh gosh. Ugh.
That was a that was that was that was a day. That was a day that I almost decided I was done.
Yeah, yeah, really.
Yeah,
Wow.
really. After 45 minutes of abuse and being black and blue and screaming,
Mhm,
I said a little prayer, and I said, I'm done. She's got one more shot,
mm,
and by the grace of God, the grace of Goddess, whatever the flying spaghetti monster, whatever it is you believe, the universe was listening, and she nailed it the next time.
wow.
It was
Thank goodness.
literally the worst day of my life.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So had
Yeah,
I
it
asked
was an
a simple
intense journey.
question,
Mm,
if I'd asked the doctor, well, what is that? Or if he had just explained it to me, I
yeah,
take full responsibility. I didn't ask the question, but
sure,
he
sure.
should have told me what it was and why I would want it.
Yeah,
But it's stuff
yeah.
like that. It
Mhm,
You go in for a surgery and nobody tells you you might want to take a little bit of stool softener the night before
mm,
because now you have abdominal surgery and they've just you're full of opiates and now
mm.
you in order to leave they want you to poop and you
Oh,
can't.
oh, goodness.
It see, like, that's a common sense thing, right? Like you would think
Right.
that they would explain that, they would say that,
Yeah. Right, and
or
I feel like there's so much overwhelm that can happen, right, as the patient in that position, um, that even like, I've had this experience where I go in and I've written down questions to ask a doctor before, and then I get so kind of like, "Wah," in that I forget to even, like, consult my list and ask all the questions that I wrote down, never mind, like, ones that might be sort of floating around up here, yeah, yeah.
yes, like I created a medical binder
Mm,
so that it was what doctor I was seeing, what provider I was seeing, what they recommended, what
mhm,
medicines I was on, all on a like all the medicines were on one sheet, and it was like a 2-inch binder, and I carry it from provider to provider to provider. It just
yeah,
went everywhere with me, and it was a way for me to. I mean, when you end up with chemo brain, because that is a real thing, and you don't remember what you ate for breakfast yesterday, you eat the same thing every day. Like it just
mm, yeah, yeah,
it's very overwhelming, and the
mhm,
doctors are overwhelmed too because they're trying to treat you and the 4,000 cancer patients that they have right behind you, that there isn't always time to explain to you what's going on or whatever. You do end up seeing a social worker
mm,
to
mm,
it's as part of your care, but if you don't know what to ask them and they don't say, well, common questions I get are like,
mhm,
so the
mhm,
you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what to ask for if you've never had this happen before.
yeah, Yeah.
Everybody tells you like you're gonna lose your hair. So when the doctor tells you that the chemotherapy that you're gonna have is you're gonna lose your hair, what do you think of when they say that? This and only this. So
Mm,
I totally rocked a mohawk for like 2 weeks. And
mhm,
then we shaved the mohawk off before I went in for my first round. And then
mhm.
I came home and took a shower and ended up with all of my pubic hair in my hand. And then
Wow.
I had a meltdown in the shower for 45 minutes
Mm.
because I lost my hair. And it didn't occur to me that there's more hair on my body than just on my
Right,
head.
right.
And even though that's common sense, when you're in that kind of state, you
Yeah,
don't think with common sense.
yeah,
So if I could spare even one person the horror of that,
yeah,
then
yeah.
what I do is worth it.
Mhm. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you really place such an emphasis that I appreciate on, like what I kind of included in my intro about you is that you're really working with these different holistic practices along with whatever, the oncologist treatment plan might be. And why do you I'm just curious, like kind of why does that feel important for you to do both, just for maybe for people who like aren't as familiar with some of the different holistic practices, like what is that?
Well, when you grow up with it and you're always doing energy healing and, you know, I, for as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be an herbalist and I have studied herbs for 40 years. I don't use the title herbalist because um, there's no regulation on that.
Mm,
So like when you go see an herbalist, there are schools out there, you don't know what you're getting.
mm, mhm, mhm,
So I choose not to say that, but I know that I've definitely used herbs to heal ailments.
mm,
You know, white willow bark is what they made aspirin out of.
mhm.
So why should I take the synthetic thing when I can just go have some tea made out of the bark?
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
the less synthetic chemical stuff that I have to add to my body, the better I think that I'm better off that I think that I am.
mm,
So it's always been there, the herbal teas and the poultices and all of that has just been a part of my life, you
mhm,
know. Um, and since they work, I've come to rely on them so that when I'm in the biggest medical crisis of my life, I'm going to go to what I know.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. And what about for people who kind of don't know and don't have that history and that background and experience that you've had the amazing benefits of, you said, kind of growing up with it, and that's like incredible. Um, but yeah, kind of what about for people, and I don't know if maybe you've worked with clients who are like, I'm totally new to this holistic thing, but I'm feeling drawn to supplement, the medical side with something else. Yeah, what would you say to those folks?
Well, I'd start with mindset, because I mindset is absolutely the most important thing. And there are studies out there when you like, there's a book by Todd Herman, right? Todd Herman. It's called Alter Ego. And he works with sports people, famous people about creating the optimal version of themselves for whatever task they're doing, which is what I intuitively was doing with the Wonder Woman's panties. Like if you look at Beyonce, she created Sasha Fierce because Beyonce was singing in a church choir and wasn't comfortable with some of the sexy dancing and stuff like that. But Sasha Fierce could do that. So
Mm,
she became Sasha Fierce so that she could become Beyonce.
mhm,
And Kobe Bryant had one. And, like, I mean, if you look at a lot of
mhm,
famous people, they create that. So so I would start with that. Are are you going to create the persona that you need to be in order to kick cancer's butt?
Mm.
And
It's a
it's a
great question.
choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. It's absolutely a choice, and it's a choice that you choose every morning and every day. And when you encounter something like being poked for 45 minutes by an ER nurse, it's a choice, and each and every time. And everybody has witnessed somebody making the other choice,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, and you can't, and that's the hard part. You can't you can't be selfish. You don't know what what it's like to walk in their footsteps and where they are with their treatment, and you don't know. You just don't know. You don't know how many ER nurses they had sticking, like you don't know what brings them to deciding that they've had enough.
Yeah.
There is quality of life and quantity of life, and each individual has the right to make that decision for themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
My
hard to watch though.
yeah. Yeah. Mm. Right. And there's not a whole lot that you can do from the outside if somebody is not interested in changing their mindset or even recognizing that their mindset is contributing to their experience, right? So,
All you can do is love them and
yep.
let them make their own choices, like as difficult that as that is for you.
Yeah.
It's selfish. Like if you want to inflict your will on somebody else, that boils it down to being selfish. I'm not saying it's an easy activity because it's not. It can be very, very painful for you, but imagine the gift that you're giving them by allowing them to make their own decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Mm. Just kind of breathing into that for a minute. Because
Yeah,
it's so true just for like everyone we love and come into contact with, cancer diagnosis or no, that um yeah, loving the people in our lives is paramount, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
is. It is. And loving them enough to let them make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Their life experience is their life experience, and they have a right to make their choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Gosh, I was just gonna ask you a question. I feel like that could be a really great answer to the question, but I'm curious what you would say if I ask you, like, what would you share as like your number one wellness tip for somebody who is navigating a cancer journey?
my number one wellness tip:
Mhm.
get your mind right. Like because I really do think that was the yes, all of the stuff that I did played a part in it,
Yeah,
but I do believe that you can will yourself to die.
yeah,
And if you are focused on that, you're not focused on the healing that you need to be doing. So put on your power panties, your power pantaloons, and actively participate in your healing. Um, in second to that, we all know that we're supposed to be eating right and remove the sugar, remove the carbs that you're not like. We all know what we're supposed to be doing. There's a lot of wonderful anti-cancer properties in mushrooms like lion's mane and turkey tail.
yeah.
Yeah, although your oncologist might not let you have those because you have to ingest that.
Right, right. I don't know, mushrooms, could that be categorized as food and not herbs? Like,
I
does
mean, all of it can.
Right? I mean, yeah.
All of it can.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, what the oncologist doesn't know won't hurt him. I mean, I'm not. I may have had a cup of tea or two, right, while I was going through that.
Yeah.
Be grateful for the time that you have.
Mm,
I know that you think that you are never going to have a day where cancer isn't right here and that it is your entire life. It's every waking moment
mm,
because for me for a year it was that, and then there was the few years after it. I'm 16 years out, and last year I had another cancer scare, which put me right back in it.
mm,
But I have gone days, weeks, and even months without remembering that I was my diagnosis.
mm, mm,
And
yeah.
when you're in it, don't let them turn you into cancer diagnosis. You are a person and you might sleep 20 hours a day, and it might take you 15 minutes to walk from your bed 6 feet to your bathroom,
Mm,
but it does.
yeah.
Spend time with your friends,
Yeah.
laugh at garlic chocolate chip cookies.
That sounds weird.
It is, because it is. I was in the hospital and I had just finished the absolutely vile hospital dinner. I was very excited about the chocolate chip cookies that were on my plate and took a bite in it and I'm like, this is garlic. This is disgusting. And my sister's like, it's not garlic. They didn't give you a garlic chocolate chip cookie. And I'm like, well, you eat the cookie. Well, they did. They did give me some garlic chocolate chip cookies. I'm my guess is they probably did like garlic bread and saw the butter and didn't like
Right, something,
like
yeah, yeah.
something like that, and I just ended up with really nasty garlic chocolate chip
Oh
cookies.
my
But
god.
now I can laugh at it. It was not funny that day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
My
right.
sister went and got me some fast food, which is not what I should have been eating.
Yeah,
But
you
take the
know,
steps now, like before you have this kind of diagnosis, to get your food right
mm,
because you don't want to have to try to figure that out, do the research and learn and adapt to changing your lifestyle while you're in the middle of this kind of health crisis. You want to have that kind of stuff in place beforehand.
yeah, there's enough other things shifting and changing, like, yeah,
Yes.
that's a really good tip, yeah.
Well, I mean, I waited until after and I've lost 50 pounds
Mm,
and we finally have started working on it.
mm,
Sometimes we learn hard,
yeah.
myself included, right?
Mhm.
Um, and some of the other things that I would love to chat about are some of the symptoms you might, depending on where your surgery is, where your cancer is, some of the things that might happen.
Mhm.
Since I had abdominal surgery, um, there's sexual dysfunction.
Mm,
They don't talk about that.
yeah.
Um, I don't always have enough warning from my body that it's poop time.
Mhm.
So it's definitely happened while I'm grocery shopping or out and in public, and you just have to make accommodations for it. You know, I carry a little poop cleanup bag in my purse because you have to, and I call them poopsidents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, they can be very humiliating.
Mhm.
You know, having experienced stuff like this, when I see someone else who has an issue, I'm over there. I'm like, listen, I have this little packet, and I'm willing to help. And here's the butt wipes and the
Aw,
you know being kind
yeah,
because you have no idea what somebody's going through.
yeah.
The older I get, the more that really resonates and sinks in.
Mhm.
I know some days it's hard. Some people make it difficult.
Yeah, well, and we all practice kindness, I think, to the degree that our capacity in a given moment will allow, and that's really variable sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Absolutely. I
I
like the way you put that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I was just like appreciating your willingness to be vulnerable and to talk about like these hard little normally unspoken parts of the whole journey, because it really, I think, helps to normalize it for anybody who's gone through it. And of course, each person, depending on where their surgery was or where treatment happened, like, the body's going to respond in different ways. But yeah, it's really normalizing, I think. And
It's
yeah.
important because whether you lose your uterus to cancer or you just have a hysterectomy for whatever reason, eh, the medical profession not letting you know that there could be sexual dysfunction, that's a disservice. But that that really ties into the fact that for the most part, the medical system isn't designed to give a fuck about women.
Yeah.
And eh, so I think it's super important for us to start speaking about it. When I talk to women who've had hysterectomies, every single one of them has told me that they've had some sort of sexual dysfunction.
Mm,
We should be talking about this
absolutely. Yeah.
because it's important.
Yeah.
And if I don't do it, who is, right? So yeah, it's hard. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's super easy to talk about it because it's not.
Right.
But for the first 5 years after my hysterectomy, I couldn't have a climax, and I thought I never was gonna have one. But
Wow.
we,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
you
Wow.
know, there was a lot of work, and we figured it out, and it takes an act of Congress for it to occur. But there are other ways to be intimate with your partner or partners or whatever you got going on, and
Mhm.
you can live a happy, healthy life not focused on your sex drive.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it's just one of the many things that seems like nobody's really talking
Talking
about,
about
putting out into the average conversation about all of this, and even the people who are supposed to be talking about this, which, should be the medical doctors who are doing the treatments, who are doing the surgeries, etc. Like they should, yeah, they should.
they can't even anesthesia somebody who's getting a cervix biopsy. What is that called? A colposcopy, where they literally biopsy your cervix and they don't give you any anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? Like, if
Why? Why? That doesn't make sense.
it's just going to be a little pinch. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's in one of the most sensitive areas of your body. But
Wow.
because we're women and men don't have, like, let me tell you,
Right.
if we're going to biopsy any part of a testy or a penis, they're going to be fully anesthetized, right?
Mhm.
Like, so
Right.
why? Oh, because we're women. Like,
Mhm.
the disparity in the medical field, just it's gross.
Yeah,
It's absolutely gross.
it is. It is. I'm so glad you're here as a crusader.
I have many soapboxes. I have many soapboxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I haven't had that procedure, and now I can't because I don't have a cervix anymore. But like,
Mm,
when I knew somebody who had one, and they told me what happened, I was like, "What do you mean they didn't give you anesthesia?" Like it. And
yeah.
then I started doing some research on it. I'm like, that's common.
Mm, that's wild.
It is wild. It's
Mhm.
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, don't sign up for any of those.
Yeah. Check.
If they can give people anesthesia for tattoos They can give women anesthesia for this activity.
Right?
Yes.
At least like make it optional,
No, it should be required. They should be giving the anesthesia required because,
Sure. Yeah.
first of all, you're already being violated with all of the cold metal and the nonsense, right? The least they could do is give you some anesthesia before
Yeah.
they cut your body. Like, this isn't the 1800s.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it other than somebody just doesn't care. Like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. All right. And people aren't listening. And I think probably that patients who go through it um don't know to exercise their voice, or don't know how to do it.
and we're
If
going to
if
go back
they
to that soapbox. I love that soapbox. It's my favorite.
Yeah, yeah,
Advocate for yourself.
mhm, yeah,
Medical practice. It's called a practice for a reason.
right.
And when I say that, people are like, oh, yeah, right. Like, and I know they went through a lot of schooling. They do.
But
But
it's still
there
constantly
is,
evolving, like
yes, there's so much to know.
mhm,
There's so much going on. We're so complex as humans that the
yeah,
medicine changes by the second.
yep, yep, it's true. Wow, yeah. Oh, I love what you're doing. I wanna hear about the gift that you are offering to viewers.
The gift that I have is it is the two essential oils that I used while I was going through chemotherapy and that you should too. That's what I want to give to your audience.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a link into the comments on this video. And I encourage you, everyone who's watching, to grab this amazing PDF that Tanya has created, because it's not just like a one-page little thing of like, oh yeah, this one's nice for this and this one's nice for that. No, it's like it's got huge like amounts of scientific information behind these two oils and what they do for you. And I just, yeah, and it's beautiful. Like, and I'm using them myself just to like help support me and support my system. So I think everyone should have it, and especially anybody navigating cancer right now.
Right. You don't need to be navigating cancer to use these essential oils.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just really number one, like so happy that you are out the other side of your experience, and really grateful for the ways that you're really like bringing it down into tangible and practical information for people who really need it. Like, you're doing that really important work of offering things, support, and frameworks that you didn't have when you were going through the same thing. And so that's like
That's
really paying it forward.
that's actually what I'm trying to do. I want to be the resource I needed and didn't have. That you nailed it right there. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just can't wait to see like and hear about all of the amazing things you're doing as just things continue to expand for you and as the people that you support really thrive. Yeah. Yeah. So make sure that you grab Tanya's free gift. You're really going to want to learn about those two essential oils. That's going to be right down in the comments. So click on that link and grab that yourself. And I want to remind you that the power of your authentic presence is really needed in the world, and that you deserve to feel truly at home in yourself. So, once again, click that link down below. Don't forget, click it now, put in your email, and click the yes button so that you can get Tanya's gift. That's all you have to do. And I'm just so glad, Tanya, to speak with you today, to connect, and to learn from you. And I'm glad for all of you who are watching. And I hope you'll tune in next Monday and every Monday. at 12:22 p.m. Eastern, 9:22 a.m. Pacific for the power of presence. So I can't wait to see y'all next time. In the meantime, click the link and start learning about those essential oils. All right, Tonya, thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin, for having me. It was an honor.
My pleasure. Yeah, take care.